Namaste everyone. Welcome to our new episode. And here we are in Thailand, Bangkok, in 6th World Environment Summit, organized by ESDA. Today we have a very esteemed guest with us, and he is Dr. Anthony Fulford. And welcome to our episode, sir.
Thank you.
And Dr. Anthony Fulford is a soil scientist at IRRI, Varanasi. So we welcome you, sir, in our podcast.
Thank you.
And here we are with some queries regarding soil sciences, how one can be a soil scientist. First of all, I want you to tell us about your research background and how, where are you working right now, please.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, madam, for inviting me on to the podcast. I do truly appreciate it. And yeah, we're in this beautiful venue in Thailand, in Bangkok. And yeah, it's wonderful to be here to discuss a little bit about myself, my career journey, and then maybe provide a little bit of my guidance or recommendations or advice for the young upcoming soil scientists, you could say. So my job is I'm a working soil scientist with the International Rice Research Institute, the South Asia Regional Center in Varanasi. I've been posted there for 2 years now. I started in August of 2023. But before joining ISARC, I was coming from California, the University of California, where I was a agronomic advisor, working with basically livestock growers, orchardists, other field crops, farmers in the Central Valley of California. And in that role, I was mainly nutrient management, soil health advisor. So I was working with these growers, with the livestock producers to manage their nutrients on the farm as well as off the farm. So I was in that role from 2018 to 2023. And then prior to that, my educational background, I actually started out in forestry and forest ecology. I was wanting to pursue mainly a degree in ecological sciences, so more biology
Ecological sciences.
and this
All right.
kind of field.
Where from, sir?
Originally from Illinois, but I got my undergraduate degree in forestry in Colorado, at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. I always knew early on that I wanted to be working outdoors. I always enjoyed hiking,
With nature.
natural resources with nature. So I found that as to be my early calling. And I really enjoyed all of my coursework and my time there at Colorado State. The only thing I noticed when I was getting closer to graduation, that's when the reality started to hit me of, okay, what do I do next in my career? How do I progress in this field? And a lot of the jobs I was seeing at the time just weren't ringing true to me. A lot of the jobs that I was seeing, that I was exposed to, were not something that I felt comfortable taking on. So it was more kind of a tree inventory, what they call like a silviculturalist, basically, or marking trees for timber harvesting and this kind of managed forest ecology. Unfortunately, that wasn't that really didn't inspire me too much, and I felt at the time it was better to maybe pursue education back in Illinois.
Okay.
So I went back to my native place, and that's when I began my journey in soil science. I received a master's of soil science from Southern Illinois University. My research focus was on actually lead-polluted soils, urban polluted soils. And I was using basically different ways to remediate that lead pollution in situ, so in place. I was using high kind of basically phosphorus containing fertilizers as well as compost to see if we could remediate or lower the impact of that pollution on the surrounding kind of urban population there. So I really found that to be very enjoyable. A switch from what I was doing in forestry to soil science, but it was something that was calling to me at that time. Just a funny story, I guess, just very quickly. When I took my first soil science course at this was in Colorado when I was still pursuing my forestry degree. But when I took my first soil science class, it was a taxonomy course. So in that course, we were basically looking at the soil profile, describing how taxonomy. Okay. Looking at how the soil is developing over time, looking at what they call the soil profile. So you're seeing, okay, from the surface to the subsurface, how is the soil basically characterized? And that class bored me to tears. I didn't like it at all. I thought for sure I'm never going to take another soil science class after this once I pass this. But lo and behold, when I went to get my master's degree in Southern Illinois, I came across another class, a soil fertility and nutrient management course. And that course really was the course that you could say hooked me in soil science, because I saw the very applied aspect of what could be done in the soil sciences, specifically around nutrient management and how it's connected to these different areas of air quality, water quality, and of course soil quality. So when I took that course in my master's at Southern Illinois, that's when I knew my career was set in the soil sciences. And then after that, I continued on to the University of Arkansas, where I got my PhD in soil fertility of rice cropping systems. Okay. I started in 2009 and completed in 2014. In Fayetteville, Arkansas, at the University of Arkansas. I got a chance to work with very closely with rice farmers in the Mid-South. That was another great opportunity, great experience. My PhD program was very applied research, where I was looking at how we can understand basically nitrogen dynamics in rice cropping soils. Okay. So how is nitrogen changing in soils over the course of one season? And what I did in my PhD work, what we found was that we can use different soil test methods, nitrogen soil test methods, to quickly understand how much nitrogen will be available during the entire season. And it was kind of I guess benefit to farmers, because before some of the research I was working on, the only option farmers had was these tests that only told them the amount of nitrogen that's available in the soil, maybe at the time of fertilizer application. But beyond that, they didn't know how to supplement that nitrogen fertilizer with what the soil was providing. So with my PhD work, we were able to say, okay, here's how much nitrogen the soil can actually supply inherently during the course of the season. And so here's how you can adjust that fertilizer application. So instead of just applying a blanket amount based on the state recommendation, you could say, here's the soil amount that's going to be available, here's how I can adjust that and apply. And so I think that's where, after I got my PhD, I think that's, again, where my career took kind of another turn, you could say, still within soil sciences, but more related to this aspect of soil health and regenerative agriculture, which I know we want to talk about a little bit about today.
So here we can discuss what is regenerative agriculture.
Oh, sure. So this was, I guess, I started thinking about this, at least for me, regenerative agriculture during my PhD. Because as I mentioned, the work I was doing during my dissertation, we were looking at trying to understand what the soil is inherently capable of providing, right? So we typically think with conventional farming practices, or you could say business as usual practices, that we constantly have to add things in order to make the crop success. So we'd add fertilizers, we'd add water, we'd add herbicides, all of these things we feel like we have to add in order for the crop to be productive and profitable. But that's not that's not the case.
It's not healthy.
Yes, and all soils have an inherent capacity to supply nutrients, to supply water, to fight off pests and diseases. But we have to be able to bring that out of the soil. We have to bring that out of the soil instead of thinking, oh, we have to fix different things. And so for me, like I said, I first started thinking about these regenerative practices during my PhD because we were using a soil test that said, oh yes, here's actually what the soil can supply. It'll be different from place to place throughout the state, throughout the region.
During the discussion, I want to ask, you have worked with US and Indian, both farmers.
Yes, yes.
What's the difference in the way of farming and the soil texture?
Oh, sure. So very different systems. I'm lucky enough to have seen both firsthand, the production in the United States, mainly in the Mid-South, and then here in India, basically throughout India, but mainly focused in northern India. But I guess the biggest contrast, I would say, easily, are the land holding and then the way they're managing, right? So in the United States, I was working with growers. I'll use the term acres here. I hope that's okay. In the United States, I was working with farmers. They'd routinely tell me, "Oh, I'm working with 1,000, 2,000 acres on that kind of scale." Here, you'd be, very pressed to find farmers that are managing more than, let's say, 1 hectare, 2.5 acres, something like this, mainly.
Do the farmers in US use more fertilizers or in India? The worst practice followed much?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, it will depend from farmer to farmer and place to place. I think right now, the biggest thing I see in India is that for nitrogen fertilizers, farmers are heavily subsidized. So they have no incentive to stop applying what they usually apply. That's because they can get it for a cheaper price, and they know, okay, if I apply this amount of fertilizer, I have not guaranteed, nothing's ever guaranteed, but they have, a very high confidence that, okay, this is what I'm going to yield year after year because I'm applying this fertilizer. So I think that's the biggest kind of difference between India and the United States, is that Indian farmers, I think, are highly subsidized at the beginning and kind of middle of the season.
They are? Subsidized they are, really?
For the fertilizers, yes.
Okay.
So they, my understanding, nitrogen fertilizer in India, if you get
It's
this
a good
urea,
thing we are knowing about agriculture.
yeah, if you get urea, kind of this neem-coated urea, supplied by the central government, it comes at a much lower cost.
So the question is, if they are getting subsidy more in India, is it health hazard? Not good for health? That's why US is not practicing much subsidy on fertilizers, ureas.
The U.S., they also have kind of these incentives or subsidy programs, but it's mainly for other practices. Some for conservation practices, but also there's a good crop insurance program. So these farmers know that, okay, if I lose yield because of a drought, because of flood, the United States government will step in and cover the cost of that crop damage, basically. So here in India, all I can say is that, some of the things I've seen, seems like the subsidies are coming early on the season for inputs. And that's why it's causing some...
How India attracted to? You are working in Varanasi right now in ISARC. So please tell me about the institute and how you decided to come to India.
Yeah, so that first, I first got interested, I would say, when I was doing my PhD, when I started at University of Arkansas in 2009 even, way back when now. I was working for the first time in rice, and I knew from that point I wanted to work internationally. I wanted to do some international ag work. And I saw that, working with rice, it being a staple crop, food crop for basically the global population.
IRRI is basically a rice research institute.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
So the IRRI, that's the kind of the South Asia regional hub for the International Rice Research Institute.
Okay.
ISARC in Varanasi, we have a fairly small farm of about 20 acres where we're able to really understand some of the practices that we've been talking about here today, including regenerative agriculture. And at that location, we have basically a long-term study, you could say. It was established in 2020, and ISARC was only inaugurated in 2018. So we're very happy to have gotten that as one of our flagship or first studies, you could say, where we were looking at low input regenerative agricultural production. So for this, we were evaluating the inputs of biochar, vermicompost. I don't know if you're familiar with vermicompost. It's basically worm castings. So
vermicompost.
Yes.
I have seen how it grow with earthworms.
Yes. Yeah. And so biochar, vermicompost, azolla, and even equine
compost is also there.
Yes.
I have visited Equine Research Center in Hisar, and there they have shown us how do they make urea from equine waste.
Yes. And then even these products such as Jivamritam, this is a natural farming product. But one of the ideas that we wanted to showcase with this regenerative agricultural study is that these are all things that farmers can do at their location, as you rightly mentioned, right? They're using equine manure, other locally available organic matter sources, and then either using that product as is, so you just take the manure and apply it to the field, or you're composting, like either a vermicompost or an active, you could say active composting process. But regardless, these are all practices that the farmer can do at their field, and they're easily by their field. And so we wanted to see with these low inputs, how can we sustain agricultural production, right? Because that's what farmers are always looking to. At the end of the day, that's one of the main goals of a farmer is to improve their productivity and profitability. And so we're looking at these low input organic products and their effects on soil organic carbon, water holding capacity, greenhouse gas emissions, and of course productivity and profitability. And in these regenerative systems, another aspect is crop rotation diversification. So in our area in Varanasi, it's very typical of northern Indian production, where they would typically go for rice and wheat as their crop rotation. So they grow rice in what's called the Kharif season and wheat in the Rabi season. So basically monsoon, you grow rice, and in the winter, you grow
one thing
Rabi.
I want to ask, I have heard in rice production, we need lots of water. Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you working on the practices which needs less water?
Yes. And so that's one thing with rice production. The way it's typically practiced, commonly or business as usual practice, is that the fields would be continuously flooded the entire season. Now, this is only done mainly for basically weed management, actually. The rice crop itself doesn't require stagnated water conditions at all. In fact, you can grow rice more aerobically, so without that constant water. The reason people do use the continuously flooded practice is to suppress weeds. So that gives us at the ISARC location or facility the ability to look at these other practices that aren't as water intensive. So in addition to our regenerative work, we're looking at ways to reduce water use. And one way is what's known as the alternate wetting and drying system of irrigation. So in this practice, you basically apply your irrigation water as a flood, but then instead of continuously adding water to that already flooded soil, you wait for the soil to drain down to, we say, about 15 to 20 centimeters below the soil surface, and then you apply another round of irrigation. Okay. So in this way, of course, you're lowering the amount of water that's used during the season, and we've seen that it has this ancillary benefit where you're reducing greenhouse gas emissions, specifically methane emissions with this practice. Okay. We found that to be very effective, I think, in the studies we've done, not only in Varanasi, where ISARC is, but in northern and even southern India, that using this practice of alternate wetting and drying, AWD as we call it, we've reduced methane emissions by about 50% during the season, while saving about 30% irrigation water. Wow. So it's a very good practice and something that a lot of growers could take. Yeah.
So here comes the very important questions. The basic of our podcast is basis on careers. So my next question is, which are the courses after which a youngster can become a soil scientist or an agriculture scientist?
Yes, definitely. So when it comes to coursework, I think this is again where something like the career of a soil scientist, that career path, really struck home to me because I'm a person that it's hard to choose, right? And so within soil science, it gives you that ability to, if you're interested in, say, chemistry or physics or biology, all three of these domains have a home in soil science, right? Okay. So you can pursue soil physics, soil chemistry, or soil biology, right?
The science background is must for...
Oh, yes. So if you're starting early in your coursework, the best way to pursue, if you're thinking about even going into soils or this kind of field, agricultural field, is to ground yourself in the general sciences first.
General sciences first.
So have a good understanding of chemistry, biology, and physics, and then further pursue, when you further pursue coursework, then you can be more specialized. So then you get into
at master's level.
Master's
in India,
level.
We have agriculture sciences, a separate courses are there, and after a science background, one youngster can go for, even after doing research and separately in chemistry and physics, like even then you can go for this.
Yes. I think and I've known several people that have gone from maybe like a chemistry background
straight from a science background, not agriculture sciences.
Not specifically agricultural sciences. I think the good thing about if you start off in these kind of the general sciences, you could say, physics, biology, and chemistry, that gives you the solid foundation to pursue what you want to do after that. So it'd be much harder if you were coming from another field, or it's not impossible, but if you're coming from the humanities or some other field, it'd be a little bit more difficult, right? Just because you don't have that general knowledge and those prerequisites that they want a lot of the times, at least in the U.S. institutions. They always want prerequisites. Okay, have you had chemistry, biology?
Can you please tell us some of the institutes in the U.S. Where a youngster can study agriculture sciences, or to be in agriculture sciences, soil sciences, or any?
Oh, sure. There are always like those top institutions that are kind of the flagship universities for different disciplines. That's not to say these are the only institutions that one should approach or one should be interested in, but these are the institutions that really have that high profile in terms of...
They have agriculture-based courses.
Yes. And so I can mention a few. I would say some of the top, at least in the United States, there's University of California at Davis, a very good, very well-known public institution that's very well-known for their...
Which institute you said?
Oh, University of California at Davis.
The second you said?
The second would probably be, well, just the second one that I know about is there's Cornell University in New York.
Cornell, okay, I know.
Very well known worldwide kind of reputation, you could say. And University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign.
Illinois, okay.
I mentioned these three basically because there are three different kind of approaches.
For
I'd say.
agriculture studies.
Yeah. So if you're mainly interested in maybe international agriculture, I think University of California, Davis is a very good place to go. Also with Cornell is very well known for ag sciences, but they also have like a global kind of reach. So they're well known across the world, and their researchers are in countries all over the world. And then University of Illinois maybe is a little bit more domestic to the United States, but doing very, very good kind of cutting edge research, you could say, on precision nutrient management, kind of integrating kind of these newer tools that we're getting from data science in these areas, and then blending that with agriculture. So.
I want to ask if you compare Indian and US pattern of study, education, do you find, what difference you find? I won't ask which is better.
Oh, no.
Both have different circumstances and different setups.
Yeah.
But please, I want to ask what differences you find
between US
the way
and
of education, the way of imparting. What I suppose US education is more practical, more work based, and here in India is more theoretical. It's my observation. What do you observe?
Yeah, I would say I can draw, of course, on my experience from taking courses in the United States, and I know that kind of student career, you could say, trajectory. And in my case, it was very much, you could say practical, but very much focused on coursework the entire time. I know that's not usually the case, and maybe it varies from institute to institute. But in my case, I was taking coursework almost essentially until I graduated with my PhD. So I know maybe this isn't the case in India, but I know in Europe and other universities where they may have, if you're going for a PhD, you may take 2 years of coursework only and then shift to research. Okay. And some people, they enter the PhD and they have a research track the entire time.
They are very much
they don't have to take
until they reach PhD. They prepared very well that they are going for doctorate.
Yes, that's the thing. And I think that's the kind of approach with the PhD degree, is that it is, if you're in a field such as agriculture, it's going to be a research-based PhD. So the advisor or your mentor that you're working with, they want you to be working on that research from the day you enroll till you get your PhD. So it's very focused on, here's where I'm, here are my experimental setups, here's how I'm processing that data, writing it for publication, and then leaving. So it's not so much, we still need to give you coursework, you still have to show in course, can you, do X, Y, Z. They expect you to have that knowledge already by the time you enter in the PhD. So then it's just curating your research and improving as a researcher.
Here comes a contemporary question, and the things going on in US right now. The Trump government is making new rules every day. One honest answer I want from you: do you think Indian students are very hardworking? Do you think so?
Oh yes, very hardworking. I would say, one thing I actually was able to discuss with some colleagues. She's actually a PhD student at Cornell University, actually.
Okay.
And we were speaking here in Kerala. I was at another meeting, and I was, kind of talking to her about the current situation. As you mentioned, the political environment in the United States is not very positive right now. It's not very supportive of, basically, I would say foreign students, but domestic students as well. I think this administration is really doing a lot of damage to the scientific reputation of the United States in that respect. But I was talking with this young lady, this PhD student at Cornell University, and she was mentioning the fact that she doesn't feel safe right now, actually, in the United States. She feels like it's a very hostile environment, and she's kind of living under that fear of, oh, I might not be able to stay here if things, don't go a certain way, which is really a shame because, as I mentioned, I think Indian students in general are a very, very hardworking class.
Actually, the thing is, as they are giving the say that Indian students are snatching the jobs from Americans. But the fact is, what I'm very honestly saying, Indian students are very hardworking, and it's not that they are going there and they are snatching. They are paying their hard work there, their time there, they're devoting their time there, and they are studying hard there. That's why they are going up and taking good jobs there. They are not there just for the sake of enjoyment, and they are very career-oriented people. The youngster going from here in India, and they are very settled in their thoughts that they have to go in this field and they have to go this way. They are very planned youngsters actually. So I just want to say, US government and US citizens, please be soft towards Indian youngsters.
Oh yes, no, and I think that's the thing. Like I see a lot of people saying, oh, America is built on meritocracy, which is what it should be, right? Everybody succeeds on their merit.
Yes.
And I see very hardworking, dedicated students from all over the world, India especially, and everybody should be given an equal opportunity at the table.
America is a country of immigrants
exactly.
actually. No? Immigration is a regular process since long years.
Oh yes, and I think it's not, the way I see it is, it's unfortunately become a political tool now. People use the issue of immigration for their political gain. If you're on the conservative side or more liberal side, you'll use these issues to your advantage. I think in reality, as you rightly mentioned, the countries are built and fueled by immigrants. Exactly. People are always moving in and out of all countries all the time. And so, yeah, I think it's unfortunately just become a political issue that people use to their advantage. But then, unfortunately, we're seeing some negative impacts of that on students and
Thank you
future
so much
generations.
for your honest response, sir.
No,
now, the last question, sir, is what are the job prospects in soil sciences and how you see the future in soil sciences and soil research?
Yeah, I think the job prospects are very high. I have an optimistic outlook on these things. But I can say from firsthand experience, I've seen the field changing and evolving very rapidly. I think now we're in the age, of course, of ChatGPT and these other kind of tools that are helping people, you could say, produce more and more, at least in written output. Maybe some good, some bad is coming from that. But I think as long as you're prepared as a student, as a researcher, then that's what you can do. You can adapt, right? You can always adapt, no matter what the current situation of the job market may be. So I think it's all about adaptation and positioning yourself to take on those new roles. Because, like I said, I see the field evolving very rapidly. I think, even in the span of my career, we might go from seeing people take soil samples from the field and move them to the lab to, getting that analysis. We could get to the point where now we're doing all of the analysis in the field. So that process of even taking samples to get analyzed in the lab will be completely a thing of the past. We might be able to see, basically scan through the soil and say, here's the nutrient level, here's the compaction, here's the kind of prospects for your yield, predictive yields. So I think that's going to eliminate a lot of the work that I did, maybe as an undergraduate and graduate student. But that's going to open up new opportunities for students that are more involved or have a better understanding of geospatial analysis, data analytics, and these kind of fields. They're going to be able to take on, they're going to be that new generation of soil scientists that's going to be heavily informed by, driven by the data that's coming from the field. And so that's how I see the field evolving. And yeah, I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be a great career for those that are interested in pursuing this next level of tools and understanding. Because now the currency is data, right? And we're getting to the point where
data is the new currency.
Exactly,
yes.
And we're getting to the point in soil sciences that you have to be able to have that understanding of how to take that data and turn it into knowledge, and then turn that knowledge into action. So I think that's what the new students are going to be able to do.
So here we conclude our session, and the fact is food is a universal need, and as agricultural land is reducing in all over the world, but it will be the universal need, so the agriculture aspects in agriculture employment will increase. We are very positive, very optimistic about it, and it was really a very meaningful session with Dr. Anthony. Thank you so much, Dr. Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.